the whole.
I mean, honestly, it kind of defeats the purpose to have a camera nowadays. It's
Well,
like, there's so much software built in on a new phone.
if you think it does away with the camera, I mean, just think of all the excuses.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a camera. Yeah, you do. I don't have it with me right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it now. So
Let's go ahead and turn because I'm pretty sure I'll get a ringer come through here.
yeah, I mean, it's rolling, and I can edit whatever.
Sure, man. Hey.
So, but Mr. Antron
What's happening,
Rearden,
man? What's
good to
going
see you.
on?
Good to see you.
Mr. Graham, what's happening?
Good to see you outside, off the stage. I don't see you that much off the stage.
I know, right? Yeah, man.
So we're here at Star Music out on
That's
Two Notch.
correct.
Thanks for inviting me and having me out.
Hey, man, thanks for the interview, man. 9810 Two Notch Road.
There you go.
Yeah.
Plug it.
Yeah, my boss loves that. He's
So-
going to plug it.
Well, the whole idea of this is just getting to know musicians in Colombia. It's, everybody's in COVID and not everybody's playing out. I know you,
Exactly.
but I see that you gig. I mean,
Yeah, and I'm trying to be really careful with the gigging,
I understand.
even though it could go away at any time. But our way of life, man. I really believe we can be okay if we're careful. I don't want anything to disrupt the music, because I think, as you know, I think the music is what makes it. It tames the savage beast. It's what brings us together and keeps some of us sane.
I would
Yeah.
agree. I would agree with that, and I think that, I don't know, were you ever locked down at all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were closed for 2 weeks here, and honestly, for that 2 weeks, I think I might have left the house maybe twice.
Yeah, so there was about a 6 week period that we were locked down. My job was
Mhm.
making us work from home, and that was rough being alone.
Yeah.
I mean, no one was doing anything, no one was going anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and but yeah, I mean, I don't. I think people need music to even to go participate as an audience member.
Mm-hmm.
With your friends. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, it does, man. My pastor had me laughing. Music sets the mood for everything. Period.
Mhm.
Whether it be for worship service, if you're going out on a date or whatever, the music in the background is what sets the mood. Even when you're in the stores shopping, music. That's what kind of keeps people calm.
Yeah, you're making me remember. Last week we played a live
Yeah, the warehouse.
at the warehouse, put the live. I don't know what they call it, a video cast or it wasn't a podcast, but
Just
a live stream.
Yeah,
There you
live
go.
stream.
And you mentioned something about along these same lines there. Even going down to like funerals
Well, yeah.
and wedding. It's like all the
Yeah.
basic stuff that
Well,
we do.
Like I said, with music, there's three things that bring people together, regardless of race, color, sex, or creed, and that's funerals, food, and music. My friend Daryl Rice, that I went to college with, she was a guitar major. She was a really good jazz vocalist. She told me that, and it makes so much sense because, like I said, if you go back through time where there was a funeral, even during the time of the Civil War, if they had dead people on the field, they gave you time to stop firing
Mhm.
and retrieve your dead. So funerals, enemies will let you mourn. But food, if you really want to get to know somebody, you eat with them. That's one of the most intimate things you can do, because you make them open up.
Mm-hmm.
And they start to talk and they get a little comfortable with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but then music. You go to a music concert, man. You don't just see black people at a rap concert or white people at a country concert. Right now, music is the tie that binds a lot of us, and that's what's holding
I would agree.
a lot of us
I would agree.
together right now at this point in time.
I would agree because there's a lot of division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just it's the way to go. And one thing, I'm a pretty laid back guy, but there's one thing I won't tolerate, and that's hate in music. Or I go somewhere and I'm performing and people are rowdy and picking on each other, start mess, and
Mhm.
no, I don't do, because You can have divisiveness and hate in all kind of other places, but don't bring it into the music, man. Really don't bring it in the music. There is no place for it. There really is no place for hate anywhere. But in the music, come on, man.
Mm. Yep. I mean,
I'm not down with that.
yep, I would agree. And I was thinking about it, and this is related but unrelated too at the same time. There's a lot of the bands I've always liked have always been like multiracial.
Yeah.
And like I was listening, I haven't listened to Dave Matthews Band in a long time, and recently I started it again. I was like, this band is so good. Like, and of course, it's mixed. The other band that I really like is Bela Fleck and the Flecktones.
Yes.
And, you know, 2 on 2. You know what I mean? It's,
And,
you know.
and it's great, man. You know, I have some friends that are probably going to watch this and give me a hard time because back in the day, I was not a fan of Dave Matthews. I was, and one of the reasons was because we played it so much, and being in certain cover bands. But I respect the guys, and I tell you, I've watched some of the live stuff, and man, those people, you know, it spans just all races, and they have so much fun, and they inspire so many people. You want to talk about a Bela Fleck story?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can remember I was in college. I think I was at Winthrop. I think this might have been my second year. I think I was in Thompson. I had my door open, and I was listening to Bela Fleck. And these two guys, I think they were younger than me, saw me with my door open, and I'm sitting there listening, and the guy walks up and he hears the banjo going, and he walks in, and he looks at me, young African American kid, and he's just like, "What in the world are you listening to?" I was like, "This is Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, man." He goes, "Yeah, man, but I mean, what are you? Why are you listening to this?" I said, "Well, first of all, I'm a music major, number one, and number two, it's cool.
Yeah.
I like this. I don't see anything wrong with it." And you know what? That moment on, I can't remember the guy's name, but he respected me because the look on his face was kind of like a little bit of disgust. But when he found out it didn't bother me, we were good friends. I can't remember that guy's name, and we were associates. We would see each other. But man, he respected me so much because he realized that, dude, you can say what you want to say. I'm gonna blare this song, and I'm gonna blare the rest of my Bela Fleck stuff, and there's nothing you can do. And he would talk to me every now and then. I think I actually got him to listen every now and then.
Yeah.
But it was so much banjo he just couldn't take.
Now, what about that did it made him grimace at first? Was it like just the fusion of jazz and banjo, or?
Yeah, I think you know, it's just like anything, stuff that people hate. You hate what you don't understand, or you kind of, you may go with the flow. Like the other people, there were multiple people there with him, and I think he might have felt, "Oh, I'm gonna call this guy out, and it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna look cool in front of my friends." But when he realized I didn't care, it was just like, okay. And then I felt great at that moment. Number one, I felt good because I stood up for what I believed in and what I loved. But number two, I got that guy to kind of open his mind and go, you know what? I may not be a banjo fan, but just because this music is different doesn't mean it's bad. And man, I wish I could remember that guy's name, but I think I opened his mind to something different.
So, do you remember what song you were listening to? Or which album? Oh, Stomping Grounds.
Yeah. And man, listen, I can understand why they stopped by, because dude, I was pumping that thing. I had a little radio in the room. It would sit up to about 5, and I just walking around. I might have been cleaning, and I was just having a good time. And they walked by, but like I said, it was, he learned a lesson. Hey, well, no one's going to back down just because of my opinion. And I'm glad. I think I educated them. I think they learned something from that.
Well, and you continue educating to this day.
Yeah, so. I'm having a good time, man. Loving life. Music is life. Life is good.
It is. For me, it can be hard to remember. It's like I'm ready. There's a lot of people that say they're ready for normalcy, and I'm like, we got to find a new normal, and in the midst of COVID and all that stuff. but I'm also ready. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I'm ready for places to be open and places to play, and
The
you know.
funny thing about some of this stuff, man, I find to be, well, people are getting praised for washing their hands, praised for covering their mask, and if you cough into your elbow, okay,
What were you doing before?
yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
this is stuff you're getting praised for doing stuff that you should have been doing
Yeah,
all along. I don't understand how's that work?
yeah. I used to play with a drummer years ago who would always say something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, I'm not going to say thank you for stuff you should be doing already.
Yes, exactly.
And he's being humorous,
Yeah,
but
yeah, but no, that just makes sense, man. I'm just like, yeah, I appreciate those who try to follow the rules and try to wear a mask, even though I know it's not required. But for those that are courteous enough and understanding that, hey, you have people with underlying conditions that are at risk. My mom's 82; she's one of those, and I appreciate people who try to take and help. And for those that don't want to wear a mask, I understand. I'm not going to push off that you should, but and I'm not going to make fun of you if you get sick. But I want people to know that I understand both sides of the issue, and I think that's part of the problem with what's going on in the world right now is we're not willing to meet each other in the middle and see each other's side and understand, and maybe we don't agree, and that's fine.
mm-hmm.
But look, just respect me for my beliefs and what I believe and what's going on. Because isn't that what the United States was built on?
Right? Yeah. Well, everybody doing their thing as long as it's not hurting other people was kind of
Yeah, and that's the way it should be, man. And you know what? Because of that mindset and that belief, that's why we have the music that we have today. The original classical music of the United States, jazz
mm,
and rock and roll, because the music comes from different backgrounds and people's different beliefs, and this is what makes America great. The music that we produce,
mm-hmm.
and the different ethnic backgrounds that meet at this place to make that music, and where it's so cool that it doesn't matter if a white person plays R&B or if a white person rap or if a black person sings country. It doesn't matter. Let's just appreciate the music for what it is.
And when you say it doesn't matter, do you mean like for you, or because there's a whole idea out there of like cultural appropriation, and so I think there's something that matters to somebody.
It does. But the thing of it is, if you let what other people say or think shape you, then are you original or are you able to be you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what made the music. You know, in music theory in class, you're taught that you don't do parallel fifths. You don't do parallel. You don't want to do that in your writing. This may be above some people, but one of the things we're taught in theory. Okay, that's fine. You can do that, and you should do that because it's a requirement for the class. Doesn't mean you can't.
Right.
It's just a requirement for the class. And my my high school band director told me that he didn't agree with his theory teacher in college, and he actually wrote parallel fifths on some of his projects. And when he got the grades back, they reflected because the teacher was like, "Yeah, I told you not to do that." And you know what? He says, "Hey, I had to do what I had to do to get the grade." He's like, "But then once I got outside of that class, everything I wrote, I tried to put a parallel fifth in every piece of music I ever wrote after that."
Just yeah.
But you got to take and follow the rules. Not saying that you need to break the rules, but man, we can't let other people hinder your creativity, because we wouldn't have what we have if it wasn't for somebody, not saying breaking the rules, but being unafraid to step outside the box.
Yeah, and do you think that over time, it seems like and we're around the same age and the same
Mhm.
age demographic.
Mhm.
But it seems like when we were younger, there was if you were black playing white music or white playing black music,
Mhm.
it always seemed like it was like people wanted you to do that, like it was something you should strive to do.
Mhm.
Do you feel like it's gotten the reverse of that now, where people are? Do you still feel that kind of support? Because I'm from Orangeburg, and there was lots of African American like influence and support for me musically.
I feel that things have changed and things have gotten better, but I also feel that there are still people in the same old mindset. But I'll say this: I think that because there are people that are willing to see things in a different sight and be open minded, that's why we have what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you
Yeah.
this. Prime example. Give you this. We all know country music.
Mm-hmm.
Say somebody like a Waylon Jennings or Hank Williams Jr. or
Mm-hmm.
Hank Williams Sr. We all know that as country music. Would you, if you are in your 70s or 80s, do you consider Big and Rich country music? Would you consider a country band that uses a DJ and they got people in the back rapping, and then you've got country musicians using slang like badunkadonk?
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about music, man. We can borrow from this, we can borrow from that, and then the next thing you know, you've got something new. And if it wasn't for those people borrowing from here and there, you wouldn't have what you have. Now, argue that the older country musicians or those who think that they're purists won't consider somebody like a Big and Rich or a Dixie Chicks authentic country.
Yeah.
Because it pulls from other bodies of music. But to me it's like this. If it works or if somebody likes it, what difference does it make? The only reason it has a category is for the record companies, I think, to find a way to sell it and market it. But if it's good music, it's good music. Dude, my mom is a country girl. My daddy was a country boy, but my daddy was raised in the city. My mom was raised in the country. When I was in kindergarten, I'd be sitting in the car with my mom. I'm listening to Alabama. Elvira, Giddy Up, Bop, Mow Mow.
That's some Oak Ridge
But
boys.
when I'm with my daddy would be listening to Motown stuff. I'd listen to Motown and Stax. That's what he listened to. But my mom's a country girl. We listen to authentic country music, or not gonna say authentic country music. We listen to old school country music.
Yep.
That's what I was brought up off of. But
Yeah.
then my siblings, because there's a lot of us, and there's a big difference in the age range. My siblings listen to funk, like Roger Zapp, P-Funk, the early Jackson 5, Motown. That's what they listened to. So I had all kinds of music being played around me as I was growing up. I didn't know what you would consider bad music or good music. I just know what I liked.
Now, whenever you were younger, was there something like a moment? Do you remember like music? Like, did you have like what they call like an aha moment where like I could do this? Like I have some friends that had a toy piano and they could figure out what was on the TV, and their parents, you know what I mean? Like,
well, like I said, man, the one thing that drew me toward the saxophone was sitting down watching TV with my dad one night. Sanford and Son came on, and I was listening to that theme song, man, and I was just in awe. I was like, Dad, I like that sound. What is that? That's a saxophone. And he promised me when I got older I could get one, and I got one. And I'm gonna be honest with you, my middle school band director at Elkhorn Middle was Charles Barnes, and I know when I first started out, he probably thought I was a bad student because I really didn't take it serious. But the thing is, I don't think he realized this, but everything he was doing, it might not have seemed like through my behavior that I was receptive, but I was watching everything he did. And I'll never forget, one day we had a scale test, and everybody was just going through, and they were, they played the scale, they get halfway up, and they mess up, they get halfway up, and they mess up. He pointed to me, and I played the scale, and I played it up and down, top to bottom, and he just stopped, and he just kind of looked at me, and he was like, he had that look on his face, like, okay, you of all people to play this, but you know the kids who were actually doing better than me, were messing it up, but I went straight through with no problem, and from there on out, he still had a little bit of doubt of my abilities, but I knew what I liked and I knew what I could do. And then I actually left Alcorn and I went to W.G. Sanders when I was with Al McLean, who was my band director, God bless his soul. I watched him,
Mm-hmm.
but I was paid closer attention to Al McLean because Al McLean was more of a strict disciplinarian. There was not going to be any cutting up or being any foolishness because he paddled students. So yeah, I paid close attention, and I watched him, man, and under his tutelage, watching him and seeing how things go, I would listen more, and I was also the only saxophone player in my class at the time, but I listened to a lot of things, and so what I would do when I was at home, I would pull the saxophone out of the case, and I learned the sound of the fingerboard, of the fingering. I learned the sound of the instrument. Okay, this pitch is higher than this is lower than this, and I learned how things sounded to me. So when I would watch TV, I would play along with commercials or cartoon theme songs, and I learned to hear things.
Mm-hmm.
So I did study by myself because I was curious. And I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. And when I got to high school, I was sure I wanted to do it. And it just became such a kind of a blur, man. But I did more studying on my own, not stuff that I was supposed to be studying.
Right.
Because when I'm supposed to be reading stuff out of the book, I'm sitting there with a TV. Oh man, that's Scooby-Doo. I think I can play that theme song. Yeah, I can do that. Or this is Plop Plop Fish Fish. Oh, what a relief! I'm playing the Alka-Seltzer theme song, or My Baloney has a first name. I'm playing these commercials, man, and it's just something that I can do this, and I think I do it pretty good. I like it, and I'm going to do it, and that's what happens, man.
Yeah, you do it very well. And
man, you're too kind. I just know that like I told people before, if you love it, it ain't never work. You're never doing work, and if you're unhappy with it, don't do it. But I'll also say this, that if you stop pursuing and trying to learn it, and try to get all of it, milk it for what it's worth, and get as much information out of it, if you're not into it that much, it ain't worth doing. I'll never know everything there is about music, because I truly believe that music is a living, breathing organism. To me, music is so evolving and always ever changing. You'll never know. I believe I've forgotten more stuff about music than I'm still learning, and it's just great. It's great. I'm happy when I'm in my element. I'm happy outside of my element, but I'm really happy when I have the music, because the music shows me that, to me, no matter how bad a day I'm having, nothing else really matters. This music takes me to another place.
Now, do you? I don't think I cut you off, but just in case, do you still pull out the saxophone when you watch TV and learn and play along?
What I will do is, I don't do the TV thing as much anymore. Now, if I hear something funny like a commercial, I'll try to take and learn something. I'll try to hum it and get it to memory, and get the pitch to memory, so that I don't have perfect pitch, but I try to hum it. I'm usually off slightly, maybe about a step or a half step, but if I don't have the horn in my hand, then I'll go back and try to. When I do get the horn in my hand, I'll go back and try to play what I heard. Or that's just what I do. If I can remember those pitches, I'm going to go back and try to play that, just to see if I can throw it in a solo and get a laugh out of somebody
when they hear it. Yeah. No, that's a little Easter egg.
Yeah, or some people think, some of the stuff I play, some people think is when I'm with one of my other bands I play with the B-side, we play little musical riffs toward each other to kind of like what would you say, inside jokes,
Mm-hmm.
making each other laugh.
Yeah.
I remember one night playing, and man, we were just sitting there one night playing back and forth, little quote of theme songs. I think I played Dallas, and then one of my buddies, Sam, played like the old I played the TV show Dallas theme song, and he played Peter Gunn. No, Peter and the Wolf.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
You know, or the Brady Bunch. In our solos, just to see if we could make them fit in the same key. Just cool, funny stuff, being kind of ridiculous, but it releases that pressure.
Yeah. I feel like it translates to the audience too if they recognize
They
it.
recognize it.
Yeah.
You know, I've said this with other people. I'm telling you this. I think you realize this too, man. To me, music is the universal language. When I worked a cruise ship back in 2017, met this beautiful young lady. Her name was Jenny Alvarez. She's from Venezuela. She spoke not a lick of English, only Spanish. And she comes with me and she smiled and she says, "Kenny G." And I was like, "Yeah, I like him. He's a great player." She says, "No, Kenny G." And her skin was dark, so I didn't know if she was African American or not, and it was kind of hard to tell if she was. But then I started to realize, oh, you don't speak English.
Mm-hmm.
And she just kept saying Kenny G. So I started playing Songbird. Man, let me tell you something, man. Her face lit up like a Christmas tree. And she knew words like the ones that we put emphasis on, like great, awesome,
Mm-hmm.
marvelous, good. So she was saying stuff like that, and then I saw her, I think she might have been with her uncle. She goes over to him and she starts speaking in Spanish and pointing at me, and she's like, "Kenny G," and you know, we were going back and forth, but she didn't speak the language. There were other people I met on the ship that were from like Indonesia that didn't speak any English, and man, they would come up and they'd have their instruments and we'd play. We don't know each other's language,
Mm-hmm.
but we had a good time communicating musically.
That's awesome.
And that, my friend, is why I say, you know, we need the music. We need the music. The music is it shapes us and molds us, and it takes away the cares and it gives us hope. And man, what would life be like without music?
I just want to say one thing. I just noticed this. Outside of the interview on the stage, you're very quiet and reserved, but you have like, I don't think I've ever heard you say this many words.
Man, dude, seriously, I'm, you know, it's passion. If
Yeah,
you
I
love
mean,
something, man, and I have this,
yeah.
and I love what I do. I love music. You know, my friend, I know I'm name dropping, but I got a really good friend of mine, a guy I went to high school with. His name was Earl Hunter. Earl tells me, he says, "You know what my favorite day of the week is?" It's like, "What?" "Monday." And I was like, "Well, why?" He goes, "Well, man, I get to drive the business." He's like, "You know, most people aren't excited to get up on a Monday morning. It's the beginning of the work week." He's like, "But I get to get up and go to work and provide for my family, and just to see them happy, and I'm happy with what I do. That drives me." Well, Monday morning doesn't drive me like that, but the music does.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, our senses, hearing, seeing, touching, smelling, tasting, people say that your sense of smell is probably one of the stronger senses, because it'll bring back memories, vivid pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And I do agree with that, because every time I smell diesel fuel, it takes me back to the first day of school, period. My first day of kindergarten, standing at the bus stop with my mom and smelling the school bus pull up. And diesel fuel always triggers my mind for first day of school. But man, I can relate events in my life,
Mm-hmm.
special events in my life,
Mm-hmm.
to the music that was being played at the time when I was in my life.
I would agree. Yeah.
We remember Thriller when Thriller came out. You know, man, I can remember listening to the records that my dad had at the house, and I can remember hearing my idol and my favorite saxophonist, King Curtis. And I can remember where I was, and I was in my room sitting up there listening to that record over and over again, um, live at the Fillmore, and man, just listening to those solos and being able almost to hum them note for note. Um, I can remember where I was the day that Ella Fitzgerald died, who's my favorite jazz vocalist. I can remember because I was in Philadelphia watching Grover Washington Jr. and Pieces of a Dream playing the part, and they dedicated their show to Ella Fitzgerald. I can, just the music that was played and the sounds. It just that to me that was just powerful. It's, a spiritual thing, but it does something to me. It makes me happy. It makes me want to do things. And you like the way I play. I think I'm okay, but thinking that I'm okay means that there leaves room for me to be better.
There you go.
And that also drives me, because man, there's nothing like it. Some people may say, well, man, you have the easiest job in the world, and I will agree, yeah, it is. But like I said before, it ain't never work if you love it. I'm pretty sure there are people who are doctors, or who are lawyers, or people that are, there may be trash collectors that hey, look, it's a job, and I like riding on the back of the truck. If you like your job, regardless of what the job is,
Mm-hmm.
or your title, if you like it, it's never work. And if you get excited about it, fine. I don't have a problem with it.
Yep, I think I've heard some other people around town echo that same sentiment.
Hey, yeah.
And not all musicians. So
Yeah, and that's just it. Like I said, man, who is it? If you're good with, I had a friend of mine, I think was an accountant, good with numbers, and he just likes numbers.
Mm.
He likes sitting there crunching numbers. He likes doing math. I, on the other hand, don't like doing math.
I understand.
But if that's your passion and that's what you love doing, I'm not saying you need to be like me and be vocal about it and talk about it, but that's how I feel. Yeah, you're right. A lot of people tell you, well, man, you don't say much. Yeah, man, but I learned at an early age through my mom and my best friend. You go place, keep your mouth shut and your ears open.
There you go.
Because what
Yep.
will happen is you got 2 ears, you need to listen harder than one mouth. So you need to listen twice as hard as you speak before you speak. And I may not say much, but I'm constantly watching. I'm constantly listening, because I don't want to take and reveal my hand, but I open up to people. I try not to be cold,
Yeah.
but I want, just kind of want to feel the scene out.
Oh, I understand. I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
I understand. I just was like noticing. I was like, he is really like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
a
man.
bright and smiling, and
Yeah,
I was,
I dig this, man. This is really cool. You're talking about something, man. I'm very passionate. I love music. You gotta understand, man.
Now, what about your peppers? You're passionate about those.
Well, I'm passionate about gardening in general, man. I like I'm a nature person, man. I like fishing.
Mm-hmm.
I love gardening. That's what I do, man. And it's funny you say peppers, because I got like 3 Carolina Reapers back there in the back in the refrigerator, in the store refrigerator, because I was bringing them here to give to a friend of mine supposed to come and pick them up. No, I don't eat Reapers. I just grow them and give them to people. I like to grow, but I also like to see other people happy. So if I have extra, I like to share.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm gonna take care of the house first. But I'll share with you in a minute, man, because hey, someone helped me out somewhere along the line, and if I'm fortunate enough to actually grow and make things happen for myself, I like sharing the knowledge of growing gardens. Man, if you look at some of my Facebook Messenger or my text messages, you probably wouldn't believe. Well, you probably would believe how many people. Hey man, I'm growing this. How do I trim? How do I prune this? How do I do this? People don't only talk to me about music, but they talk to me about plants. Hey, that's also another one of my passions.
Yeah.
I like to see stuff grow. It was ingrained in me by my mom and my dad. You know, they were both growing plants. We raised pigs and goats and chickens and ducks and stuff like that.
So you had some chores when you were younger?
Yeah. Slopping hogs, cleaning chitlins.
Mm-hmm.
Man, cleaning chitlins, that's
Takes you back.
good. Yeah. Well, you know, man, I was a little kid watching my dad, and they were killing hogs, and I wasn't allowed to do much, because I think the last set of pigs he had, I might have been like 10 or so. But I can remember getting up with him in the morning, and then when we were killing pigs, and I had a little teeny knife, and Dad, come out here, and I'm going to help, and they're scraping the hair off the pig, and well, what do I get to cut? I want to use this knife. It wasn't much of a knife. It was a little Boy Scout knife. And well, go over there and dig a hole about 2 feet. No, we'll get you on something. So I go dig a hole.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't much to it. Okay, I'm waiting around. And all of a sudden, this big bucket, boom. What is that? Okay, this is what I need you to do. And I'm sitting there cleaning pig intestines. And I'm standing over this hole, squeezing these chitlins, man. And I wasn't upset, because my dad was there, and I wanted to do what my dad was doing, and I wanted to be a part of it. So if cleaning chitlins is what I had to do in order to be there with him and hang out with the older guys and my brothers, then that's what I did. But I really wanted to, like, maybe slice a ham or help cut up pork chops or, cut the shanks off the legs. And no.
Yeah.
Never happened.
You feel like sometimes I talk to my mom about this kind of stuff and a lot, where it's like when we were kids, it seemed like a lot of people grew a lot of food.
Mm-hmm.
Like her parents had like a big garden, and I was always out, like when I was with them,
Mm-hmm.
helping in it. And it does sometimes feel like that's kind of gone a little bit, because I think I had a little garden a couple of years ago, and my kids were like, like. But when I was a kid, I loved being outside in it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, man, I think, because I've been doing this for a while, I didn't post a lot of it on Facebook, but I don't know, something just drew me to like start posting a lot more pictures when COVID, when the lockdown first hit. And a lot of people had the same idea I did, or started having, like I said, I always plant a garden every year. But they were like, well, man, if I'm going to be on lockdown and I can't go to the store, what am I going to do? They thought it was going to be worse than it actually was.
Well,
man,
it did feel like it.
For food? What am I going to do for food? I need to learn how to do stuff. And they found out I was doing things, and people would call me, well, man, how do you plant this? Well, how do you do that? And I helped out. I didn't have a problem with that. I think gardening is for everyone if you want to do it. I think it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because and you don't have to have a big garden like I have. I just grow a big garden. I have the space to do it, and I had the time. This is probably one of the biggest gardens I've ever had, because I had a lot of time during quarantine to do it. You're talking about me planting 100 tomato plants.
Wow.
Maybe 25 pepper plants, and maybe 4 rows of corn with like maybe 40 plants like on a row.
Now, did you freeze and can?
I don't can anything. I do freeze some things. Like I take them, once I take them, pick them, and my mom will blanch them and then put them in freezer bags.
Mm-hmm.
And put them in the freezer with the water so that they don't get freezer burn in the freezer bag. But these people are asking these questions, and it's like necessity is the mother of invention. I've never seen more people putting pictures of gardens and doing gardens on the internet because of quarantine. And it's like, I think it's something that everyone should know something to do, whether you don't necessarily have to be growing vegetables or food, but flowers in general, man. Hey, flowers take care of us. What do plants produce? Oxygen.
Yeah.
And we produce carbon.
Bees.
And the bees, yes. And listen, if there are no bees, there won't be any of us, because bees pollinate the food that
That's
we
right.
eat. So if there aren't any bees, we got to be conscious of that stuff. We got to know what's going on. So yeah, I love the gardening. I love the outside. It's awesome. I feel that everybody should do it, even if you're not going on a big scale to feed everybody else. But hey, it's all about survival at a point in time.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I'm saying, if you didn't know how, if what if your life depended on it, if that's what you had to do.
Mm.
Not saying that doomsday's coming no time soon, but
Well, there's some people out there that are thinking
they're
it.
doomsday preppers. But suppose you got down to the point where you didn't have much money or things got a little tough. Well, you know what? I had 100 collard plants this year. I picked about a 33 gallon and a half bag of collard greens, and I shared them with some of my family members and put some in the freezer. Well, you know what? If money got tight, I got enough stuff that I planted in the freezer where I might be eating greens, I may be eating beans every day, but I won't starve because I was able to put stuff away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody needs to know how to do that. I feel that parents need to teach kids. You know, you don't have to. I'm not saying force it on them, but they should know something about that at some point in time.
You know, what you could do, because I'm a parent and I know how busy parents can be, you could always make a YouTube channel where you're teaching kids how to grow.
I got a friend of mine. Her name is Sally Sharp. She runs Sal's Feed and Seed,
Mm-hmm.
and she has a YouTube channel, and she's always talking about things, and I always refer to her because, you know, yeah, I'm country, but she knows quite a bit more things in depth than I do, and I'm always asking her questions. And I advise you guys, if you want to learn something about gardening, Sal, her name is Sally Sharp. She's on Facebook. On Sal Feed and Seed, it's off of Sharp Road,
Mm-hmm.
SHARP, and it would help you out if you're interested, because she has she does a little thing where you can subscribe to her and they'll send out baskets of seeds. This is the seed of the month and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's an educational program, man. Check out her YouTube channel. It's really good. I like gardening. I like music just as much, but I'd rather get wrapped up in the music
Yeah.
because I don't want anything to take my mind off the music. But I do like the gardening, and I would prefer the music over the gardening, because the gardening does take time. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It takes quite a bit of time. And like I said, 100 tomato plants or 100 collard plants, that's a lot of time, because I actually fertilize each and every plant twice, every 2 weeks. I go down the road with a teaspoon, and I put fertilizer on every plant. I prune the plants. It's a lot of involvement in it.
That's
why
great,
I was able to do it during quarantine because I had the time.
Yeah.
Next year it may not be as big, but it does take a lot of TLC, but you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah. You should definitely think of doing something where you're teaching. I feel like there's a place, a need, and like a vacuum where, and I'm not saying that you need to do something like this, but we grew up with, like, remember Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, Mr. Rogers, yeah.
Like,
Day in the Navy.
yeah, like, I don't know, I feel like kids need something like that, to where it's like educational, but like accessible to that mindset of youth.
They do,
You know,
man, and unfortunately, I don't have any kids. I come from a large family, man. I've got great nieces and great nephews. I'm the youngest of actually 10. It's 9 now. I had a sister pass away earlier on, but and I have so many nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews, and when we were growing up and our parents were growing up, times were different, where you'd have women to stay in the home, watch the kids, and watch what they watch to keep them from they didn't have the internet.
That's a hard
They
thing to do.
didn't have technology at
Yeah.
their hands. And unfortunately, with some of the parents, I noticed this because I've done substitute teaching, some of the parents aren't as smart as the kid or technically savvy as these kids, so they get into certain things. Why do you want to watch Mr. Rogers when you can go and watch TikTok videos or watch stuff on Instagram you can see what other people are doing, and you know, you don't want to sit down and watch Mr. Rogers' show.
Well, I guess I mean like younger than that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Say your fifth grade, your
Like,
kindergartner.
yes,
Mhm.
that age group to where it's like ingrained from a younger age. I know from my kids. I have one teenager and one soon to be teenager.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're talking about smarter at technology.
Yeah.
Uh, we're at a neck and neck race, and I have to keep up with them, so I know what's going on.
Reading ahead.
And it's still something where it's like, you know, what was it? Recently they were instead of we have screen time for
Mhm.
on the iPhone for apps,
Mhm.
specific apps you can have screen time, so it limits the amount. Well, what they were doing was watching the video, like say TikTok. They would save it. They would just go as fast as they could and save as many videos as they could
Mhm.
into the photos on
Mhm.
there, so they could spend later
Watching
watching.
your photos.
And like I applaud the the savviness of it,
Mhm.
but I tell them I'll say stuff like this. It's like you're really pushing the definition of that to like its extreme.
Mhm.
It's like you're pushing that rule like.
Yeah, and I understand it, man. Well, now I'm going to tell you, man. I have a nephew, a great nephew that I've taken under my wing. In fact, I kind of feel bad because he also plays saxophone,
Hmm.
and
Why do you feel bad about that?
because I don't put a lot of time into him as a saxophonist,
Oh,
and I think one of the reasons he plays saxophone is because of me.
well, he listened to you.
And my thing is, I really feel I should put more time into his saxophone, but I don't want to be I don't want to be that person forcing off. Although I know he's following me and I know he's
Yeah.
watching me, but he likes to garden because he
Mhm.
spends a lot of time with me. So when I'm in the garden working, he's in the garden working. Remember, like I said, 100 tomato plants, 100 collards, and all those other plants. He actually helped me put that stuff in the ground. And I feel comfortable if I was to go out of town on a gig and I'm going for a week, and I would say, hey, Demarion, I need you to go to the house. I need you to take and fertilize the plants. I need you to take
Mhm.
care of the garden, manicure the garden. I feel good because at that point, he's worked with me enough. He could actually go and probably plant his own garden and not need me
Mhm.
because he's been watching me do this. He's like,
But he wants to hang out
he's
with you.
15.
Yeah.
He's always with Uncle Antron. But I don't push him when it comes to the music. Although he wants to do it, and he's in the marching band.
Mhm.
He is active and he's very smart. And I just sometimes I just kind of feel there's a little bit of a should I do more or should I just let him
Yeah.
decide on his own?
So-
What do you want to do?
Um, yeah. The only reason I asked if he would listen is because my son plays bass,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I'm always trying to like show
Shows him the things and show him things.
and it's all dad stuff to him. I mean, he'll listen to his teachers at school,
Yeah.
or he takes private lessons too. It's like he'll listen to those people before he'll listen to me.
But you're dad.
Because
That's why.
I'm dad, and so because one of the things for bass players is like metronomes. I'm sure
Mhm.
like everybody needs a
Yeah,
metronome,
timekeeper, yeah.
but like you got to have a metronome playing
Mhm.
bass, drums, bass, and so um, and I was saying for years he started in 5th grade, and I would say, oh, get your metronome, start practicing. I mean that's your beat. And he'd be like, my teacher said I didn't really worry about that, and I was like, oh come on.
I know where this is going.
Yeah.
I know where this is going.
Well, so I mean, but it's just one of those things. So as soon as the teacher goes, well, you need to work with metronome, he comes home. Guess what he does?
He's a metronome.
He gets metronome. Just like, it's like you could. You know what I mean? I'm just like that dad. It's like,
But Dad,
but
it was just too early, man. I should have been focusing on that, man. I'm still trying to learn hand positions and stuff.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah.
yeah, you may know a lot, dad, but you don't know nothing.
Oh,
That's like you'll see one day.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like you don't appreciate that knowledge
Right.
until you get older and you're like, you know what, Dad was right. Well, maybe I should have
So
been doing that.
so that's probably where your nephew will
Yeah.
it'll click for him.
And he's a good kid. He's hard headed. Just like the other ones. I have to give him the spiel of, hey, stick to the books, stop talking in class,
Hmm.
and but he is the one that I try to treat like my son, where I show him things, and I told him, I was like, man, you may not have a yard, because he doesn't have a yard. The house he lives in has a little tiny yard. I'm in a pretty big place in the back there. And I said, you may not have a yard to do what you're doing, but I was like, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't care about this and want to learn it. And he said, well, I do. I care about it. I like it. I enjoy it. And man, he comes up there, and I can bring him in the backyard and go down the road, and there'll be plants there with no stakes for names.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Well, that's a watermelon. What is that? It's a cucumber. What is that? Looks like is that squash?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he knows things because I make him go down the road. I roll and learn things. And hey, Demarion, when you plant that pea in the ground, how deep does it go? Well, about 1.5 inches. And he'll just go down the road. He puts stuff down there. He just knows what to do.
Should start doing that with like sax buttons. You're like, what's that?
Well,
no-
yeah, I should, man. I really should, man. Like I said, I just kind of, I don't want to pressure him, and he thinks saxophone is cool, and his band director, Mr. Garrett Rivers, who plays with our buddy Clyde Frazier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he plays in the Partly Cloudy brass band. He plays tuba.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Garrett is his band director, and Garrett was, Garrett said, hey man, your nephew came by the school during quarantine and picked up a saxophone, and he don't want to be in marching band. I said, you sure that? He said, well, he didn't think he could get a ride. I said, okay, well, cool. So I called up his grandmother and I called up his mom. And I said, hey, look, he got a saxophone, and Mr. Rivers is a good friend of mine, and he needs another sax player in the marching band. Y'all gonna be able to get him to rehearsal? Well, he never said anything about needing to go to rehearsal. I said, well, can you get him to rehearsal? Yeah, we don't have a problem getting him to rehearsal. If he wants to be in the band, and they asked him, well, yeah, I want to be, but you were working, and I didn't think you would want to take me. And so he's in band now.
Good.
And he's loving it. He's happy with it.
That's
He
awesome.
likes it. And like I said, now I'm gonna always support him, and I'm always gonna push him, especially if he's doing right, if he's doing a good job and he's on the right path. I'm always gonna encourage him to do things, but I don't want to, kind of like you were saying with your son, I don't want to encourage him. Man, well, you're doing well. I mean, I don't think that's cool with you, and I don't like that. I don't want to do it. If somebody else tells him it's cool, then he's going to do it.
Yeah.
But so far, it seems like he's just paying attention
Mm-hmm.
and following me, just paying attention.
Maybe he got that from you.
Because that's all I do is just watch people and
pay attention.
pay
Yeah.
attention.
Right.
And he probably did. I'm not lying. He probably did. Notice that
He's
I was
probably
working,
more like you than
so
you realize.
I realize,
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of Clyde Frazier, have you checked out any of the drive-in concerts, Partly Cloudy?
Man, I haven't gone to any of them.
You should.
What they posted online,
You should.
the little video stuff. Man, I know it's great. Look, dude, I played in the Partly Cloudy brass band. I've done some gigs with the brass band, and I played a little bit with Christy Joy, man. And I know what it's like to be on the stage with those characters, man. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish I could catch some of those, but unfortunately, when Clyde's gigging,
Yeah. Well, if you're a musician,
I'm
yeah,
gigging.
yeah.
And but I told him, man, I totally support that guy and his musical journey, and I know he supports me, and I love us local artists supporting each other. He's just a good guy.
He pays me absolutely nothing, but I will always talk about this drive-in concert because just as a musician, local musician, watching that, one thing I've always really liked about him is like his hustle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because a lot of guys are great players, and then it's like it stops there.
Yeah, they don't know how to sell themselves.
And like whatever it is, you know what I mean, he's going to make it happen. And I really appreciate that, and I really like it. And but I was able to check out one of those and go to it, and
And
I
I'll
was
tell
like,
you,
this is how you do a concert in
yeah,
COVID times.
exactly. Now, I know he invited Jazz Dog, which the group we're in, to
Yeah.
actually come and perform on one of those those drive-in concerts. Love to do that. Those guys, man, they play. They have so much energy, man. Look, Clyde and the Partly Cloudy family, man, and I got my Partly Cloudy shirt, so I rep
Yeah.
Partly Cloudy. Man, if you go to a Partly Cloudy show and you're not having fun,
Yeah.
you just didn't want to come out the house. You just wanted to go back. You're sleepy. You need to take a nap because they're energetic. They're high, fueled up, man, and they're from beginning to end.
What I saw, so I went there, and unfortunately, the concert part of mine, the actual what they had planned to do,
Mhm.
got rained out, and so
Mhm.
they couldn't get the equipment wet.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did was all the brass players
Yeah,
got in a line, like they still played in the rain.
yeah, they did the marching band.
They did the marching band,
Like team,
and
man,
Clyde had his
snare drum.
wearing the snare, and I mean I was just like, look, that's what you do. Like the show must go on.
Dude, that's
like
right.
like if it's not going to be that, it's going to be something.
Yeah, you guys paid for something, they're gonna give it to you. And you want to know what, man? Give me a bucket of lemon. I'm gonna make some lemonade.
He did all that work, for still putting that whole thing together, and when it got rained out, still offered to give people their money back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you can keep mine, dude. Like this is the best.
Yeah.
Like this is the coolest, and everyone should see it.
You can't,
You
yeah,
know.
you can't let you know, let's say one monkey don't stop the show. Those guys
Oh,
were
yeah.
able to adapt and make it happen, and I love that creative
Yeah.
side of us musicians, man. I love that. I love it, love it, love it, love it, man. Wouldn't trade anything for the world.
Well, that's like Joe J and Matt Buck,
Yeah,
like the Warehouse Live stuff.
yeah.
I've been really impressed, and I've mentioned this on a couple other of these series that I'm doing here, but I've been really impressed with people who are still trying to give other musicians a platform in some way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it be through the streaming, you know, Clyde trying to get us to come on and play. I mean, it's people creating opportunities for not just themselves. That's what's really impressed me.
Yeah.
With Colombian musicians
And
during COVID times.
During these times, and man, they wanting to help each other out, cause you know, unfortunately, you know, musicians, some of us don't have insurance.
Yeah.
Some of us, man, I got a really good friend of mine that he's a sax player, and you know, he's out on the West Coast, and he left Charlotte, went out to the West Coast, and man, this guy's a monster player, and he's out there on the West Coast trying to get his things going, getting a name for himself, and just getting settled in. As soon as he gets settled in, COVID.
Oh.
And you know, they're shut down now.
Yeah. Still,
And
they've been shut down.
So how do you be a world class saxophonist, go out to the West Coast, can play with anybody because you're just that great a musician, and now you're reduced to driving for Postmates. Now, hats off to him because he found another way to make money.
Right.
He's a good guy, but that talent is too good to be driving for Postmates. But look, if you gotta eat, you gotta take care of yourself. You gotta do what you gotta do. Because the old saying is, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do in order to be able to do what you want to do.
That's exactly right, and that's important.
Yeah.
In life.
Yeah.
You know.
And so, man, I feel blessed, man, that you know when COVID came in and I was gigging full time, but I was working here at the store. When COVID came in, life could have been really, really rough for me, but at the same time, like I said, I know how to live off the land. I'm a gardener, so I have that skill. But then I was working here at the store here at Star, and had that income coming in. I still had I was gigging, playing some nursing homes, entertaining people, and as things start to lock down and the gigs got fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer, I had money saved. The store was thank to God, the store only closed 2 weeks. So after being closed for 2 weeks, we opened back up. We did things slowly. I was still able to make money. We were still able to take and support the local musicians here from, with the Star of Music family. And everything still was able to move. It wasn't able to move along at the normal pace,
Mhm.
but I was still able to take and provide and do things. And, you know, the music, even though some people may not see it as deemed as an essential that's needed,
It
it
is.
is needed.
Yes.
It is needed, and so many of us musicians who were out here bringing joy and happiness to everybody else, because that's what we do. Who's going to bring the joy and happiness to us? Because we now have no place to work. We have no place to display our talent. We have no place for people to take and enjoy and appreciate what we have. But you have people like Matt Buck. You have people like Joey J, who have the warehouse, who are able to give us a platform to take and perform concerts for people, and through the loving kind of generosity of these people who saw us in person before we had to go into quarantine. They were able to donate, and a lot of musicians were able to take and make ends meet and get by during these trying times. Is it going to get any better?
Yeah.
Is it going to get worse? Probably. But you know what?
We're on a wave right now, right?
Yeah, I'll say this. Absent makes the heart grow, was it fonder? Or
Yeah.
so being away from this, when it comes back, when it does come back, I think it's going to come back. People are going to want it. And when it comes back, man, it's going to be beautiful. It may not be the same. And you don't want it to be the same. Because what got us in the predicament we're in is because we weren't prepared for this. So we don't want it to be the same. We want it to be better. And
what I would love to see, what I can't wait to see. So there's musicians you keep hearing about, and there's countless others in Colombia that you haven't heard or seen that play that much during COVID. I hope to see what they've come up with once it's over, because they're still working.
Yeah, they got ideas going. People are in the studios recording stuff in their home studios.
Yeah,
it's going to be great to see the work that comes from it, man.
Yeah,
the COVID albums, the COVID music. It's going to be awesome.
That's a great idea.
Man, dude, seriously, man. I was sitting there talking with one of my buddies on the phone, one of my musical partners that I write with, my friend David Lee Watson. And I was sitting here thinking to myself, man, who's going to write that COVID Christmas tune?
You. Get on it. Get on it.
Who's going to write the COVID Christmas tune? So I'm sitting here, I'm brainstorming myself, so let's see here. Santa caught COVID.
No.
What was the part of it? Santa caught COVID, and the elves can't drive the sleigh.
Oh.
That was like my first introduction to a blues tune. I'm gonna see if I can make a honky tonk blues tune about Santa having COVID. How would that work? Then I thought for a minute, maybe, I don't know. So if somebody's watching this and you got an idea with me talking about Santa catching COVID, go for it. That's fine. I was just kind of, brainstorming. I don't know if a COVID Christmas tune would be.
It might be too dark, too soon.
Yeah,
too soon.
Yeah, maybe later on.
Yep. Well, Mr. Antron Rearden, I think that's inspiring people to write COVID tunes is a good place to.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's been great, man. It's a pleasure, my brother.
Yes,
Thank
always.
you, man, so much for this opportunity, man, to have a good time. Hey, guys, I'm at Star Music. We're open 11 to 7 Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 on Saturdays. Come check us out. Antron Rearden, Fiona Greenwood. We run the store over here on 9810 Two Notch Road. I want to thank you, Mr. John Allen Graham, for this opportunity, man. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's just Jay.
Jay, gotcha. Jay. I don't know why I said that.
It's
sorry,
all right,
man.
dude. Everybody seems to call me something different.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, you ever seen Spaceballs? Just plain yogurt.
Yeah, okay. But it isn't John, right?
It's actually Jeff.
Jeff, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm a junior. That's why I go by Alan. And people are so they get confused.
And I don't know why. Who was I? Where were we? We were somewhere.
I think there is
you John.
Yeah.
Like, really? Okay.
I think there is a John Allen somewhere. Like a actor maybe.
Yeah.
But
I always called you Allen.
Yeah.
But then
that's
where was I when somebody said John Allen? Okay. All right, if that's cool, I'll call him that too.
No worries, man.
Yeah.
It's all good. And soon we were talking about recently, Jazz Dog doing a round table,
Yeah, that'd be great.
and so look for that because we'll all be.
Awesome. That's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah, I think in December.
Yeah.
I think if the text thread.
Forget the December. I think early December. Too.
Yeah. So right.
Tuesday. Yeah, that's going to
So-
be great.
Anyway, sir,
Yeah, man.
appreciate
Pleasure.
it. Yeah, as always. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, man. I like I said, I know everybody. So, man, you don't talk much, but now you talk.